Insights to start out the week, the deep dive into meteorology, the science behind the forecast. There is so much to talk about. If you love meteorology, stick with me through this video. If you don't love meteorology, maybe you want 1 degree outside today that we posted earlier, the 24-hour forecast. But look, we'll start out with the snow. We woke up to a half foot of snow in a number of spots. The funny thing is you didn't have to be in just one location or another of New England. I mean, Coventry, Rhode Island got 7.4. Jonesboro, Maine got 6.5. I'll show you the map in a second. Plymouth ended up with 6.5. How often is New Bedford one of the top spots in New England this time around? But Burlington, Mass was too, and that's away from the ocean. Spofford, New Hampshire picking up 5.5 inches of snow as well. So many of you sent in your reports and your photos using our app, especially that Send to Us tab. That was awesome. We're going to get those into our photo segment, which we always have going up on the stream, New England's only weather network, on your smart TV, online, and on our app. If you haven't checked it out yet, come on by and say hello. All right, meanwhile, this is the map. Generally 4 to 6 inches in the area that's in dark blue, which went all the way on to the parts of the Cape. And that was right up the coastline of Maine for that matter as well. Once you started getting to the Maine Turnpike north, it really dropped off. North Country really dropped off. Generally 3 to 5 into central Mass and lesser amounts when you came into parts of I-91 in the Connecticut River Valley in western Massachusetts. We had a great pre-storm live stream leading into this. If you like that stuff and you like the meteorology of it, maybe Inside Track and above would be for you. Why do we always talk about the memberships? We're not corporate owned and we have no investors. So it's your support and we really appreciate everyone who's a member and supports us. All right, quick shot of chill coming in over the next day and a half. A disorganized disturbance comes in Wednesday night. We'll look at that together. A massive shift in the polar vortex. The polar vortex is the home of cold air in the northern hemisphere. We are going to get a real chunk of that coming up. It's true Arctic air. It seems like the word Arctic air gets used every time it gets cold now, right? So we don't do that here, but this really is going to be a taste of Arctic stuff that comes in for the upcoming weekend. We'll look at that in a second. Okay, so on the water vapor imagery, great tracer in the atmosphere, moisture showing up in green and white. And you can see this was really a lot of southern stream or southern moisture input here with a northern stream disturbance. Here's the swirl still coming across us in the early part of the week. But the next disturbance is up over Alaska that's going to bother us. Hey, is that really going to get here? Yeah, by Wednesday night, because it gets caught in the fast jet stream flow, drops south across portions of Western Canada. There it is. There's that kink in the jet stream and then comes in on top of us again Wednesday night into Thursday, but opens the door to this. This big swirl in the atmosphere is that semi-permanent polar vortex that sits across Canada, and look how close it comes getting into the upcoming weekend. That opens the door to cold. You can see it in the low levels of the atmosphere at about 6,000 feet. I'm not going to show you the surface temperature first because this actually tells the story a little bit better. You get a shot of cold that comes in tomorrow, then it moderates as we get into the course of midweek, and here it is. That is the load of cold. Now, the coldest setup for us would be if this was a little farther east and it just came straight south into New England. That's when we get like our record-breaking cold, which this could be in a couple of spots, but it's going to modify a little bit because it comes across the Great Lakes and then in from the west instead of straight in from the north. And you can definitely see that here. Now we'll go to surface temperature, right? And you'll see the red line being the melting point. That does come into us on Wednesday night. That's why I say Wednesday night's disturbance is going to be a little bit milder. Could be a mix of rain and snow showers, but wow, whoosh. There comes the cold blasting in here for the upcoming weekend from Friday night all the way through Sunday. Early call Saturday, and I think we're a little too warm here still, with teens south and single digits north for highs on Saturday. I actually bet it'll be in the single digits almost all the way down to the Mass Turnpike. And with the wind figured in, it's going to feel sub-zero all day long and go well below zero, like 10 to 20 below at night with the wind chill, the way that it looks now on both Friday and Saturday night. In the interim, there's not a whole lot going on for us, right? We've got high pressure coming across the eastern United States. You've got the chill that comes in here for Tuesday, and I'll zoom the map in just a minute so you can see what happens closer to home. I just want you to get the big picture idea. Here comes that next disturbance that we looked at coming out of Alaska, so that it's already here by Wednesday night. And behind it is the real story. This is where you start to open north. See, this is what I meant about northerly flow is how you get the coldest air. That's going to come in at International Falls and Minneapolis. And we're talking about temperatures on Thursday that are probably only going to be in the single digits for highs. Here's a winter storm developing across the central and southern plains that'll sweep through the southern United States. You got to think about it this way. If we're getting into this deep cold air, and by the way, I need to add a new color to the legend because this is minus 10s for some parts of the northern United States. If we're getting into the real cold stuff, you got to figure the storm track south, and it will be. So if you play out how much snow is expected over this week, Wow, look at this. You're talking about accumulations 8 to 12 inches from perhaps Lubbock, but to Oklahoma City, Little Rock, much of Tennessee, Kentucky, running into Richmond. Now, will this be the actual track? It could deviate a little, right? But I think you get the theme. Just like when we look at icing, we know in New England that you could be a day out. You still haven't nailed down exactly where the freezing rain is going to happen. But the theme is this is an impactful event at the end of the week into the start of the weekend, going across Waco and Austin, maybe down to Houston, maybe New Orleans, Montgomery, Atlanta. This is all freezing rain accumulation, right? So again, it could deviate a little bit, but you get the idea. This is a big deal by Southern standards. Here at home, there's no big deals in the near future. What I'll tell you about is that Wednesday night, when that disturbance arrives, there's a warm front with it, so it brings in some milder air. Remember, we looked at how you're right on the edge of the melting point? So I do think that Wednesday night's disturbance is disorganized. It looks like it may be cold enough for snow showers from the Mass Turnpike northward. However, even if you look at the 90th percent worst solution out of everything that's out there, it's still like a coating to an inch. If you look at the middle of the road solution, it's a coating to an inch. So it's pretty good agreement right now. Something big would have to change for it to be something much more than that. Although in northern New England, in the mountains, we've got a better chance of some enhancement, plus also some squalls that could be left over on the west and northwest facing slopes during the day on Thursday. Here's that storm organizing as we get into Friday, and that'll run again through the southern United States into Saturday. Looks like tomorrow's wind is gusting 25 to 35 miles per hour. So obviously with the cold, that's going to create a wind chill. Your high temperatures Tuesday are only running about 20 or 25 anyway. So to figure in that kind of a wind, your wind chill values are going to be running in the single digits during the course of Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday night's lows dropping down to the single digits for many of us, perhaps teens in some place like Boston. Here's that moderated air, a little bit milder coming in Wednesday. We may already during the day Wednesday start with snow showers across the mountains of northern New England and the North Country. We all deal with that kind of mixture that comes in on Wednesday night, but I think you're talking about rising temperatures that by the time we get to Thursday, you've got high temperatures that are running about 40 degrees or so. And then Friday, the shot of cold begins. It's going to come in mostly lock, stock, and barrel on Friday night and Saturday night and Sunday. The nighttime wind chill on Friday and Saturday night could go 10 to 20 below zero, even into southern New England. So it's going to be a big deal. It's going to affect pipes, frozen pipes on buildings that aren't as well insulated. It's going to have an impact on infrastructure if it goes the way we're looking right now. So there's time to see if it moderates a little, but that's the way it looks now anyway. Just a reminder, if you love snow sports, you may, again, enjoy supporting us, but getting something out of it of value too. Snowsports.onedegreeoutside.com. We do frequent discussions twice a week, but then daily maps, dozens of them, so you can get the best place to enjoy your skiing, your boarding, or your snowmobiling. All right, that's your deep dive for today. Pattern predictions will be delayed by a day. There's been a lot going on here on this Monday between the storm and what's going on here with our videos. So we'll see you with that coming up on Tuesday.